The Celtics get wins over the Lakers and Thunder, and I'm looking ahead to the Houston Rockets game all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
I'm so hyped right now. Anything's possible. I'm on mama. I'm on my lady, ma. Anything's possible.
Yeah. Rain and Jay's back with the vengeance. All the real Celtics fans in attendance. This the truth like 34. This like walking in the garden when you hear the roars. Crowd goes crazy, most in-depth coverage on the daily, mainly podcast royalty, the content kings. When you talking about the franchise with 17 rings, focus like Danny at the deadline, global but it got a local feel like the red line, the blue line, the green line, play it in between time. I'ma throw my C's jersey on in the meantime and press play. When the F's done, I can't wait until the next day, trying to stay in tune with the C's, that's the best way. Melly.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, and thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On Celtics is free, available on all platforms, including YouTube. Watch the show on YouTube, please, and every episode available at LockedOnCeltics.com. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, and I do this show Monday through Friday, so I hope you're all listening and watching on a regular basis. Please subscribe. Coming up later on in the show, Jackson Gatlin from Locked On Rockets will join me for a quick preview of the Monday night game against Houston. In the second segment, I'll talk about the Lakers game, but I want to start. First of all, I want to start with Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams are expected to play Monday night against the Houston Rockets. So that's a positive. They've been out, Jaylen, for a while now with that right hamstring strain. Robert Williams for a couple of games with the left knee tendinopathy, basically jumper's knee. So they will be back and get a game under their belt before they take on the Brooklyn Nets. So kind of like a warm-up game, ease them into things, hopefully, and they'll be ready for the game against Brooklyn. So Celtics, OKC, Celtics won this game 111-105. It should not have been 111-105. It was a 25-point game at one point with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. When it's 25 points with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, it should not get down to 4 points in the final minute of the fourth quarter. But that's the Boston Celtics right now. Anytime you go into a fourth quarter with a huge lead, you can almost guarantee that lead goes away. Almost guarantee. I keep joking. I sit next to Suichi Terada from Mass Live, and we were joking around, like, are our game stories safe today? Like at 25, we're like, are the game stories safe? Can we start like really like start writing, or is this going to be, are they going to blow this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like they can, they're really going to blow. They might give up the lead a little bit, but I don't think they're going to go too. I've learned my lesson. They until they regularly put their foot down, I'm not going to believe it. Ime Udoka partly responsible for this. He got some weird lineups in there. And I know on a back-to-back, the Celtics were, they just come off that win over the Lakers that I'm going to talk about in the next segment. They were up big. This is an opportunity to really kind of get the minutes down for your starters, which I believe. This is like I said the other day on the podcast. When you're up this big with this team, with their history, don't start the fourth quarter with the Juancho Hernan-Gomez and his Cantor combination. Juancho just couldn't hit a shot. It's sad. He barely gets to play now, and then he got in, he started firing, and those shots were missing. Like, weren't even close. Cantor was okay, but those two defensively, you're asking for trouble, and they got the trouble. Just start the fourth quarter with starters. Just start your fourth quarter, put it away, get that lead up to 30, 35, and then get your subs in. In fact, I wrote after the game, I did my, get these guys some minutes, now that the Celtics are going to be fully healthy, hopefully they can send maybe like Nesmith and Pritchard to Maine for a couple of games, just a couple of games, go play your 30 minutes like I've been saying. But beyond that, I'm starting, like, if I was Pritchard or Nesmith, I'd be pissed in the locker room. And I'd be like, hey, can you guys like close out a blowout here so we can get like 6-7 minutes, like an actual, like meaningful stint on the floor to get some actual NBA minutes? That would be nice. Like these are opportunities that the Celtics keep giving away for Pritchard and Nesmith and Romeo and those guys at the end in the fourth quarter. All of these 19-point leads, 20-point leads, whatever huge leads that they've had, those should have been fourth quarters where Nesmith and Pritchard and Romeo, like, just go out there and work through some of your things, get some shots up, get some confidence. Then I wouldn't be saying anything about the G League. They wouldn't need the 32. Just go out there and get some confidence on the floor, be under the arenas, get those sight lines, get everything, and just give them the opportunity to get 5-6 minutes of it. It's garbage time in the game, but for them, it's meaningful time. But the Celtics blew this opportunity. And I think that bothers me a little bit. All right, let's leave that alone. Since that was the big story of the game. But the other huge story here is Tatum continues to have big performances now, 3 in a row in this game, 11 of 22, 6 of 12 from 3, 5 of 7 from the line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, just 1 turnover, was a plus 22 in what became a 6-point game. Tatum was a plus 22, Smart was a plus 23. So Tatum over the last 3 games now is averaging 34.7 points on 51.5% shooting. He's shooting 45.5% from 3. He has figured it out. He's back. And very good timing here. And I think that this level of Tatum play is almost entirely responsible for the Celtics' recent stretch of success. Marcus Smart has been great. I know that there are plenty of people who listen to the show, watch the show on YouTube. There's nothing for the Marcus Smart haters to say about this. In this OKC game, another really good performance. Just 7 points, only took 6 shots, but a team high 8 assists, couple of steals, including a classic Marcus Smart play where I forget who he stripped, might have been SGA, but pokes the ball free, dives for the ball, gets it up to Horford. Horford gets it to Tatum. Tatum dunks it. That's what made the game 25 points. So he's diving on the floor with a 23-point lead. That type of stuff. That's pure Marcus Smart. And really what's impressive about Marcus Smart in this game, first shot of the game, 0-0. Marcus Smart takes a 3, drills it. And that's like that. Oh, okay. Here's an 11 3-pointer Marcus Smart game. Nope. Only took 1 more after this. I think with Schroeder in there, and Schroeder had 29 points, 13 of 22 was attacking, was getting to the rim. I think 8 of his 13 makes were in the paint. I think Schroeder coming in and being the scorer that the Celtics need in place of Jaylen Brown as he was recovering from the hamstring. You have him and Tatum combining for 62 points in this game. Smart's like, okay, I don't have to be the shooter. I think a lot of times when Smart, or especially last season, when he was like, hey, look, I'm taking a lot of these shots. Who else was going to take the shots, right? Like, I think Smart feels like if those guys aren't going to be scoring, then I'm going to be scoring. I'm going to be shooting because I have confidence in myself to take and make those shots. Now, he doesn't make those shots as often as a lot of people would like, but point is that now with Schroeder scoring as much as he has been, and now with the return of Jaylen Brown, I think Smart has settled into like, okay, my role is going to be this. And this is just fantastic Marcus Smart. Like I said, the 8 assists, the 2 steals, a block, 1 turnover. It was just a really great game from him. And like I said, so Schroeder was good. Tatum was good. I thought that basically for the Celtics, they were through those 2 quarters and 8 minutes of the third quarter, the Celtics were kind of like casually like, we're the better team. We're cruising. We can, whenever we want to turn it up, We can get to the rim whenever we want to turn up. They settled for a couple of shots here and there. They settled for a couple of jumpers. They were always kind of like teetering, but it was casually like, oh, we're going to win the first quarter by 7. We're going to win the second quarter by 6. Oh, we're going to win the third quarter by 10 or something like that's it. It wasn't like a storm out to a huge lead. They just slowly built it up. And then whole thing went down in the fourth quarter. They held on, they won. So that's good. They beat a bad team. They did a good job for the most part. The lineups, I just want them to finish these games off. Just for once, finish these games off. All right, up next, a blowout that actually did happen against the LA Lakers, which is fun for everybody. Everybody loves a blowout of the Lakers. I'm going to talk about that next. First, I got to tell you about PrizePicks. I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but it's daily fantasy made easy, and you are going to love it. It's the best NBA daily fantasy sports prop game on the market. It offers more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator. They offer all the superstar players plus the bench players who are only getting a few minutes here and there. So they offer any prop that you can think of. You can cross over into other sports, so like yardage and touchdowns, all of that stuff. If you make your first deposit there and use a promo code NBA, you will get an instant 100% deposit match up to $100. So deposit up to $100, use the promo code NBA, you'll get a 100% instant deposit match. So it works like this. You pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry, and you're not playing against other people. It's just you against the projected numbers. You can mix sports. So you want to do something with the Patriots and the Celtics, you can do that. You can go into the NHL. You can do anything. You can mix over-unders on players from different teams. So you can use their award-winning app on both the App Store and on Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. PrizePicks is safe and offers fast withdrawal. So do not hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com and use the promo code NBA, or go to your App Store, download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Today's show also brought to you by DirecTV Stream. I know this sounds familiar. You've got a device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, and then you're watching sports highlights on your phone. You've got your neighbor's best friend login for the good stuff. Well, I got to tell you about a simple way to get all of that entertainment that you love without all of that hassle. It's a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there is no annual contract, so get rid of the clutter, get rid of the confusion, and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make your second listen one of the other Locked On NBA shows. If you want to do a preview, you can listen to Locked On Rockets. You can listen to Locked On Lakers, a little schadenfreude there. You can hear people complain about the loss to the Celtics. That'd be fantastic. So check it out wherever. Every team has a Locked On show. Check them out wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch shows on YouTube. Celtics beat the Lakers on Friday night, 130 to 108. And that was fun in front of Paul Pierce, in front of Bill Russell. Hello. I was in the same building as Bill Russell. I almost geeked out, and he was across the building from me. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Bill Russell is here. I'm glad they were able to treat Bill Russell to a blowout win. Early on, I was getting aggravated because the Lakers are basically a revolving door defense. They allow 1 million points in the paint. And the first few minutes of the game was just basically, standing around the perimeter. Tatum, I think, took 5 shots in the first few minutes of the game. 4 of them were around the perimeter. He was just sidestep 3, all of that stuff. And I was like, what are you doing? Drive. He picked up 2 early fouls. And I thought, okay, this is actually a good thing. He's out of the game. He can sit there for a little bit. Somebody can talk to him. He can be like, all right, let's kind of figure out what I'm doing wrong here. And turns out that when he came back in, all of a sudden the aggression was there. Then the attacking was there. And really, it started with the bench and Marcus Smart. Smart in this game was attacking. He had 11 points on 5 of 7 shooting and saved what was beginning to be a very ugly first quarter. I was afraid that they were going to play directly into the Lakers' hands and stay out in the perimeter. Smart changed that and really drove. The 11-point first quarter was huge for the Celtics. And then it became the Jason Tatum show. He dropped 37 in this one. Again, I gave you the three game averages. Well, 13 of 26 in this one, 4 of 9 from 3, 7 of 7 from the line, and 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, a block, just 1 turnover for Jason in this one. 21 points for Schroeder, who has been just pretty good recently, minus the turnovers. Smart had 22 in this game, was 9 of 13 overall, but all of his baskets, like he was just going to the hoop over and over and over again. 1 of 2 from 3. That was fantastic. Al Horford was great in this game. Got to the line 10 times. He was a force for 18 points, 4 assists. The Celtics had it all going. The Celtics had it all going in this one. LeBron, I think, kind of helped in some respects. It was weird. LeBron got switched on to Romeo. He got switched on to Josh Richardson. He got switched on to Grant Williams. And I thought in all of those matchups, I was like, okay, here comes LeBron. He's going to start to take over. Let's see where this goes. And each time he just took a fadeaway. And I was like, why are you doing that? I mean, from a Celtics perspective, it was great. And he hit a few of those, but I don't know if this is an early season thing. I don't know what it is, but when LeBron has Josh Richardson on him, just bury him. Just bury him underneath. Just lower your shoulder, get to your spot, and get a 3-point play. Like, that's everything I expected. Romeo's on you? Yeah, Grant's stronger, and so Grant can get low, but you can spin off of him, and nope, nothing. I was like, wow, okay. Now, it was his first game back from an injury, so I'll give him some slack there. But I thought, like, if this is how LeBron is LeBron just old now? Is this just all he's going to be? I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's just easing himself back. And in November, he's just going to say, hey, I'm taking fadeaways and that's it. I'll save my drives for March, April, May, if they get that far. And we'll just November, we're going to deal with it. We're going to win this game with me taking fadeaways or we're going to lose because of it. I don't know, but I thank you, LeBron, for doing that. This was just a fun one. This was just a fun game. Like, the atmosphere was great. There's just we joke or people, I think, maybe think it's overblown when we say, oh, Celtics Lakers is different. Celtics Lakers is something special. But it is. And even this, when the Celtics were trying to get to 500 and the Lakers were a 500 team, you got Bill Russell in the house. You got Pierce in the house. You get, 2 Celtics legends in the house. You got ESPN with seriously everybody. Stephen A. Smith, the whole crew is there. Jalen Rose is there. They're doing their whole pregame show live from the Garden. They got their whole, their A team in the booth. That is a big, big deal. And so everything is amped up. A lot of Lakers fans, but the atmosphere was fun. And like I said, everybody loves beating the Lakers. So look, the Celtics are now 7-3 over their last 10 games. They are back in the mix. And as you look at the standings in the East, the Celtics are kind of like, they're just right there. They're 9-8, along with Cleveland, Milwaukee, New York, Philly, Charlotte's 10-8. You go down below that. Atlanta's 8-9. Like all of that 1.5 games that separates all of those teams. Everybody is kind of bunched up. And so the Celtics sit there at 9-8, 3 games out of first place. You know, Chicago just beat New York as I record this. Chicago just beat the Knicks. And so the Knicks drop down to that Celtics level. They're right there. And the early season struggles that they're working through haven't really cost them. Because if we said, this is the classic, like if we said before the season, if you said before the season that the Celtics head into the last week of November, just 3 games out of first place, you're like, okay, that makes sense. That would make total sense. Like, yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. So at 9-8, probably wouldn't have expected 9-8, but I think that just speaks to the level of competition. And you still have the Wizards at 11-5 that, you know, they're going to probably come down. The Hornets are at 10-8. I mean, that's, you know, whatever. That winning 55% of their games, maybe that'll sustain. The Cavaliers are certainly going to drop. They're not going to be above 500 for much longer. But, you know, you expect the Hawks to pop up and, you know, maybe the Pacers. I don't know what the Pacers are going to be, but the bunching is still there, and there's an opportunity for the Celtics to keep moving up. I just think that after all of this, the Celtics are 7-3, and if we look at point differential in the East, the Celtics are 5th in fifth best point differential in the East. So they're climbing. They're making progress. The early sting, the early bad taste in everybody's mouth is probably still kind of lingering a little bit, but they're figuring it out. And now they get Jaylen Brown back and they get Robert Williams back. So maybe they make a little bit of a run. Let's not look past the Houston Rockets. Hopefully they don't, and they can beat the Rockets and beat them easily. We'll preview the Rockets game when I come back with Lockdown Rockets host Jackson Gatlin. First, I'm going to tell you about Built Bar, which is the best tasting protein bar on the market anywhere. I don't think it's even close. You can bring them to Thanksgiving dinner. Instead of pies and all of that stuff, just give people Built Bars and see how oh, wow, this is going to be good. They're going to be tasty. And if you want like some sort of fruity type of dessert, plenty of options there from Built Bar. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15. You can use it every time. So pick up a couple of boxes, bring it to the family, spread the word, and people be surprised. And when you say, hey, this is only 130 calories or so, and you're still getting like 17 grams of protein out of it, people go, oh, wow, that's pretty good. And so, yeah, check out Built Bar, covered in 100% chocolate. So, I mean, that's great for dessert too. But it's also healthy for you. How many times can you have something that's delicious and sweet, but also healthy for you? Low calorie, low carb, low fat, high protein. Go to built.com. New surprises all month. Huge Black Friday sale coming up. So mark your calendar. Black Friday is going to be a huge event for them. Built.com with the promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off every time at built.com. Now, I love hot sauce as well. And Crack Hot Sauce, CRAIC, is a local Massachusetts hot sauce company. They have a few different styles. They grow their own peppers in Chelmsford. They have other local farms that they source their ingredients from. These are very flavorful, unique hot sauces. This isn't just some bottle of hot. It's not meant to torture you. It's not just how hot can you make your food. These are flavorful. These can be used in any meal. You got mild, you got some level of heat there, but it also adds some flavor. They've got a golden pumpkin. They've got 40 shades. They've got Mill City Red, Brian Boru's curry. They've got a bunch of different flavors that can pair well with different foods. So if you're trying to cook, but add some heat, you can add a lot of different elements with one of these Crack hot sauces. So they're versatile, they're multidimensional, they're gluten-free. This is a local business, a Celtics season ticket holder. So if you go to cracksauce.com, CRAIC sauce.com, and you're going to use the promo code Locked On for 10% off your next order. And I'm going to Crack Sauce right now as I talk, because you'll see on their site, made in Lowell, Mass. You'll see all the different flavors. You can scroll over them. You can pick one. They've got a podcast. They've got a newsletter. It's really great. I really love the local companies. They, like I said, they source their stuff locally. They go to local farms. It's all Massachusetts made. And like I said, the guy's a Celtics fan, a Celtics season ticket holder. So go to cracksauce.com, get 10% off with the promo code Locked On, CRAIC sauce.com. All right, wrapping up the show here with Jackson Gatlin from the Locked On Rockets podcast, Locked On NBA. You still doing Thursdays? Did they move you around?
No, I didn't get moved around. You and I are untouchables, John. That's what happened. We are the MVPs of Locked On NBA. They can't touch us. Okay.
We got a no trade clause here in our Locked On NBA slots. All right. So Jackson does Locked On NBA on Thursdays. I almost feel bad for you because Jake and I joke, like the Tuesday night NBA slate has been just like 3 games. So Jake and I are like, yeah, we're just going to chill out here. Like, we can talk in depth about a game. You and Matt are like 13 games. Like, okay, this game was good. This game was bad. Next game, go. So
pretty much, no, we joked about you guys one night, talking about you and Jake, as well as Nick and Adam on Friday. We were like, we do the real legwork here at Locked On NBA Thursday with these 11, 13 game slates where we got to get through all these games in one 30-minute podcast. So yeah, no, it's all in good fun. It's nice having that much to sift through.
Yeah. So, but now we're here in the Celtics Rockets capacity, and how you doing, man? You doing okay?
Are we? Is this the first version of a therapy pod? Are we checking in, just making sure I'm okay?
Before we talk basketball, 14 losses in a row. You doing all right there?
The other day I photoshopped a bag on my head on Twitter, just like for about an hour. And I was like, you know what? I'll save the bag for if they hit 20 games in a row again. Cause that was where the losing streak reached last season. They hit, worst losing streak in franchise history, 20 games in a row. It was really rough. We're not quite there yet. 14 is getting increasingly close though to that danger territory. And I'll tell you what, John, it has not been easy. The expectations for this team, obviously Celtics and Rockets have already played once this season. Yep. And, granted, the beginning of the season, Celtics, definitely not hitting the ground running at all this season. Struggling against the rebuilding Rockets, and, Rockets gave them a pretty good run for their money until, they figured things out kind of, late third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter of the previous matchup between these two teams. But, the wheels have just come off the train for this Rockets team. They played some really competitive basketball against the Lakers, the Phoenix Suns, Denver Nuggets, had some really close games in there and just kept coming up short. And then it was just loss after loss after loss. And now we're 14 games in, and it's like that competitive nature that was there kind of early on, like that feeling of, we're so close to kicking down the door and being able to accomplish something here. It's just gone. Now you're seeing the vets kind of going through the motions. The rookies are getting frustrated. Steven Silas is, trying whatever he can with these rotations, trying to make something work. And it has been really, really tough sledding for the Rockets to this point in the season.
Look, you started off 1-1. You had that, it was tight along the way. The Celtics game was only a 10-point game. You had a tight one against Miami. I'm just going through the scores here. And then, then all of a sudden, like, you play the Mavericks tough. And then, okay. All right, here we go. You see things starting to cascade. So, but look, the Celtics have also had problems against teams that they're like, we're better than them. And you walk in, we saw it against the most recent game against the Thunder, that they were up 25 and they're like, okay. Ime Udoka throws in some weird lineups. He's trying to get these guys some rest. And then the other team's like, hey, we got a little bit of life. So for the Rockets, there is still, like, when there are signs of life, you guys can put some things together.
Yeah, I think that this team, when it's at its best, is when, obviously this team is so incredibly young. And one of the things that Steven Silas is currently trying to balance is, I don't think anybody expected Alperen Şengün to be this impactful this early on both ends of the floor, right? Coming in, we thought defense was going to be an issue for him, and he showed out in summer league. He's shown, an ability to defend at the NBA level, which nobody thought he was going to be able to. So now suddenly he has three bigs to work with in Christian Wood, Daniel Tice, and Alperen Şengün, and that is now causing some issues with how does he distribute those rotation minutes, because right now the Rockets are at their best, I feel like, and many others, when they run Christian Wood at the 5 and they essentially play small, right? Because then Christian Wood gets to be, offensively, he gets mismatches against opposing 5s where he's quicker, able to explode a little bit faster, past those guys, offensively causing mismatches there. You slot in like Jayshawn Tate or like a KJ Martin at the 4 spot, somebody who's more so of a wing type player, cause mismatches there. And then just really getting out and running in transition, using that speed. They're a young run and gun team. And unfortunately, running double big lineups with Wood and Tice or Wood and Şengün kind of slows things down. And so right now, Stephen Silas is just struggling, trying to find how to distribute those minutes and find which lineups can garner success without squeezing the minutes from guys who do deserve them, like rightfully so. Like Alperen Şengün deserves minutes. He's a quality player. He was MVP over in the Turkish league. Like he has absolutely shown out so far in a short amount of NBA time. But going into this Rockets Celtics game, it's actually funny that we, it's pretty much par for the course for the Rockets. I guess, bad luck this season is that you've had Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams out recently, and they're on schedule to come back just in time to play the Rockets. So it's just, from the because of course notebook for the Rockets that, the Celtics would be largely at least, is that full strength with Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams back, or is there still anybody else out?
No, that's basically full strength now. Because
sounds about right.
everybody who was questionable. I mean, they're nicks and bruises, but everybody who was on the injury report has now been listed as probable going into tomorrow. So unless somebody has a setback, we're looking at that. That's going to be basically full strength. So
and still no Kevin Porter Jr. for the Rockets. So there we go.
So the Rockets are they don't score much and they give up a ton of points. And that's kind of a recipe for disaster. You've got the worst point differential in the league. The offense, I think, is where like you're young and you've got very ISO heavy guys, but with no KPJ, is that helping like snap some of the offense into some focus here, like or because it was kind of like your turn, my turn type of thing going on?
Well, honestly, John, not like sort of, but not really. There's like a really weird situation going on right now where in the games that KPJ has missed, the Rockets have largely gone to a lot of kind of a steady dosage of Eric Gordon being the primary ball handler, which Jalen Green has had some increased ball handling responsibility in the absence of Kevin Porter Jr., which has been kind of nice to see because even at this point, it's kind of felt like, everybody, Rockets brass included, have like thrown Jalen Green into this shooting guard box, right? We're just, you're going to be a shooting guard. You're going to play off ball. You're going to do this, that, and the other thing. He's shown an ability to play make, to facilitate for his teammates. He's got some really crafty, slick passes here and there. He looks comfortable operating out of the pick and roll. The thing that Stephen Silas keeps reiterating, and the thing that even Jalen Green said post-game after the Rockets' most recent loss against the Knicks, was he's still just a rookie, right? He doesn't want to come in, step on anybody's toes. He doesn't want to come in and try to be the de facto leader of the team right away. He understands he's got a long ways to go. He's got a lot of growing, a lot of maturity left, a lot of steps ahead of him. And so I can respect that to an extent, but there's this, like the flip side of that coin where he's like the number 2 overall pick. Like there needs to be a level of like, yeah, I'm the guy. Like give me the ball. Like I want more touches. He finished with 11 shots against the Knicks. And he was 7 of 11 shooting. Like he was on pace for, if he had gotten some more attempts, he could have easily gone for over 20 points in the Garden, which would have been really exciting. So this Rockets team is ultimately, John, they're struggling to find their identity, right? Yep. This team, they've got this weird mix of veterans and youth, and Stephen Silas is struggling to balance, okay, how do I balance playing the vets alongside the youth? Are we going full-blown developmental mode where we're just focusing on, cultivating the young talent for the future? Are we, what are we doing here? Are we showcasing the vets to try and move them at the December 15th trade deadline? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of frustration surrounding the team because it doesn't feel like there's any clear-cut direction that they're heading in. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration for the fan base and the fans are, kind of coming from right now.
Right. And yeah, I do think that look, I understand tanking. I understand wanting to be bad, but obviously the way the draft rules are now, you don't have to be the worst team in the league. So, picking up a win or two and doing what they need to do, Silas making the right rotations and kind of like doing some things that are probably more obvious. Uh, Maybe that needs to happen every once in a while here so they can try to pick up a win. Look, I don't know. Tell me what you think here. You see the Celtics coming in. Okay, yeah, they're 7-3 over their last 10. Um, but I mean, from my perspective, I still see like they're slowly starting to figure it out, and they're picking up some wins that they should be getting. At the same time, when you're this close to it, I see them making mistakes. I see them taking their foot off the gas. They are notorious for blowing fourth quarter leads. And like they had a 25-point lead against the Thunder with 5 minutes to go in the third. And there was Ime Udoka with 10 seconds left or whatever, putting his starters back into the game in the fourth quarter to close out a game. So what's your feeling when you see the Celtics come in? Do you say, oh boy, here comes another one? Or do you say, look, this is a chance for this rebuilding team, this young team to say, whenever the Celtics do let up, maybe we can steal one here?
I think that if anything, we can kind of look back to the previous matchup between these two teams. And, if you're the Rockets, you got to at least go into this with a feeling of, hey, we played a competitive game against these guys before, right? We were pretty much, in this game, we let it get away from us a little bit in that fourth quarter, but they've got to feel like they've got a legitimate shot. And I think that, at least the understanding from the Rockets organization isn't that they're, going out there, they're not actively tanking, right? And that's why, I'm sure you're opposed to the idea of tanking, somebody who's, if you've ever played any level of organized sports, right, you don't like to lose. Losing sucks.
No,
like
it does.
anybody with any type of, innate competitive nature upon them, you don't like to lose. And none of these Rockets guys want to be on a 14-game losing streak. They're still going out every night, especially the young guys. And I think that's the other thing is, Steven Silas needs to realize that there's a bit of an issue right now where some of the veterans are not giving 110% when they're on the floor. And so if I was going to pin a potential Rockets loss against the Celtics on anything, it would be because, Steven Silas is trying to rely on the vets because they're the vets, right? They should be the ones to kind of help guide you through some of these games, but they're not putting their best foot forward because I think the 14-game losing streak is kind of starting to get to them. They understand this team is rebuilding. They're going to be moving on from a lot of these guys, be it at the trade deadline or next offseason, right? So they're not willing to go out there and give it 110 and risk injury or whatever. And the young guys are, though. The young guys understand they're fighting for their NBA career. They're fighting to make a name for themselves. They're trying to establish themselves. So when you see the young guys out there, especially when there's multiple of them in the same lineup at the same time, you see a much faster run and gun, go get them attitude on the court. And I think the Rockets could potentially sneak something here. Their defense hasn't been atrocious. Offensively, the spacing has been really rough, and that's why the offensive numbers are so abysmal for this Rockets team. They haven't had much spacing with Daniel Tice, Christian Wood in the starting lineup. So ultimately coming into this game, I don't feel like I'm not ultimately afraid of the Celtics. Do I think they're going to come away with the win? More than likely, probably, because I think at some point in this game, something is going to go against the Rockets, be it their free throw shooting that they've struggled with, be it the turnovers where they're dead last in the league, be it they're going to stall out offensively. Something's going to happen along the way. But I expect them to put up another competitive game like they have previously against quality teams and like they recently just did against the Knicks. They're still capable of going out there and making a team fight for a win. They're not just going to roll over and give it to the Celtics.
All right, we'll see how it goes. No Jaylen Brown that last one, so they do have Jaylen Brown this time around. We'll see if there's a continuity thing with the Celtics. The way the Celtics are playing right now, I'm not saying anything's an automatic win anywhere. So buckle up. It should be fun at least. Thanks for hopping on for a little bit here, Jackson.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, John.
All right. Thanks, Jackson, for coming on. Check out Locked On Rockets after the game. He does a great job. Does a great job on Locked On NBA as well. That's the show. I will be back after the Rockets game. Hopefully that's an easy win with not much to analyze, but I will break it all down for you. Big week coming up with appearances, lots of crossovers from Locked On Nets. Try to get Locked On Spurs on here as well. So thank you. Oh, by the way, different schedule this week. Thanksgiving this week. I'm not recording on Thanksgiving, but I will record instead after the Friday night Spurs game just to add. So you'll still get 5 shows this week, but no show recorded on Thanksgiving. So that's the new schedule for this week. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. If you're new, please do. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube show, really would love to get your assistance on that. Really trying to push the YouTube show. Hopefully people can enjoy that and watch that show. And share the podcast. Share it with your friends when you go to Thanksgiving. Tell your family that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.